Okay. Now going to Charlie-Skelton, who got arrested last year, and we were able to actually have him on from the police station when he still had his cell phone. An Oxford University graduate, journalist for the Evening Standard, The Guardian. He also writes satire and has written quite a few books, and we'll give you his website before he leaves us. He's on TV shows on Channel 4, reality TV, and BBC One. And, of course, in 2009, he covered the secret of Bilderberg Group. He went to basically write satire about it as a joke, but found out it wasn't a joke. And he also writes for the London-Guardian. He joins us now from Spain outside the Bilderberg Group resort that they shut down today. So first off, Charlie, good to have you back this year. Tell us about how you got there. You were in the resort, what you saw being thrown out, the type of security you're witnessing right now.
Hello, Alex. We spent a couple of nights in the hotel, a little bit cheekily before lockdown, which took place at noon today. And basically all the guests left over the last few days because they have the Bilderberg block booking, and they're replaced by the conference organisers who are up to their ears in it, and more and more security men who are just piling in at the moment, and the police are piling in, and police helicopters are taking to the skies, and it's the same old thing. It feels very much like Vuliagmeni in Greece last year. In fact, the hotel was very similar. It's up on a hill. There's a small little road that leads up to it, and it's just by the seaside, and it's a small little sleepy town. And,
the supreme leaders up in their citadel above
exactly,
the rabble scum.
Very much. That is exactly what is happening, and there's the same dynamic of a very few. I mean, more this year, but a few people coming to bear witness to the event.
Pathetic rabble down beneath the walls, with our centurions keeping a close eye on the dangerous scallywags.
There's quite a lot of that, actually. We overheard a few conversations, and we have a source in the conference team as well. And
well, that's big news. You have a source inside the conference team. You were in there and overheard stuff, just like when I was in, I can back this up, when I was in Canada, but really in Virginia, I was in there the day they shut it down and kind of stayed till the end, till they were trying to throw us out. And there were like security teams, and I was, catching all of it, and every spare room and office area was packed full of security people. Tell us as much as you can about the source without revealing them, and tell us what you overheard, Mr. Skelton.
Well, I can't tell you anything. I'm not going to tell you anything about the source, but I will tell you some interesting things. One of them is that there's a no-fly zone for 4 days over the hotel, and that's being enforced by police helicopters, and that begins at 8 a.m. Tomorrow, which is the first official day of the conference. We spoke to a barman there, and a barman. And we were talking about the cost of this whole thing, and he just said, look, you do not want to know how much this is costing. And, when you think of it, I can't quite get past it in my mind, the sheer cost of this operation, it is huge. And if anyone thinks that it's not a large event, it is. I've never seen anything like it. And,
and of course, the taxpayers pay with our tax money to protect the criminal rulers.
And to be honest, I don't think the Spanish taxpayers are in any position to be paying for this kind of circus right now.
Well, listen, we're going to know more as the days develop and as you talk to journalists and your source. But, what can you tell me about what you overheard? What can you tell me about what the source told you?
Well, I can confirm some delegates who are coming. Some of them, they tend to come every year. There's Richard Holbrooke, the Obama special representative to Afghanistan and Pakistan. He'll be there. General Jack Keane, who I think he was in charge of your army at some point for some years. And interesting, a new name, I think, which is Marcus Agius, who's chairman of Barclays. And he's also senior non-executive director on the new BBC executive board. So it's interesting. The BBC may not be here covering the event live on the ground, but they do have someone inside. But actually, I mustn't badmouth the BBC because they put me on the radio this morning on Radio 4, the BBC, BBC Radio 4 Today program, and had a nice chat. And it wasn't.
Now, you called this a loss of innocence last year because, I mean, you weren't really expecting to be clapped in irons. I
really wasn't. I wasn't even expecting. I wasn't quite expecting. I didn't have any idea, to be honest, what was going to happen at all. And to find yourself in a completely dystopian reality, and with an extraordinary overreaction of
yeah, let's recap for those that forgot what happened last year. To a London-Guardian reporter, you got video of it being followed, harassed, arrested. There'd be police all around you, and you'd say, stop following me, and they'd say, no one's following you, and you go to the police station to complain, and then you see the guys that have been following you there, and they say, you're not seeing any of that, sir. You're quite insane. And then they finally did arrest you. So recap that, and let's go back to this first look at Bilderberg 2010 and the valuable intel you've already ferreted out.
Well, 2009 was I suppose my loss of innocence, I sat there in the in the Athens. I had to run away to Athens because I was being chased around and arrested so much in Budiakmeni, and I really wasn't trying to do anything at all. You described me early on as a daring reporter. That couldn't be further from the truth. I spent all of 2009 trying not to get arrested, and my plan for 2010 is very much along the same lines, not to get arrested. But last year I sat in an office in Athens, opposite. He was I think he was the head of the Athens state police that look after the parliament and after their government. So very high up. And I said, look, I've worked out. I realised who's been following me. It is you. It's your team. I've seen the guy in the loo just now, weirdly, and having been denied all the way along. And he just said, no, you didn't see a man. You didn't see a man. And I sat there and I thought, my God, that's a scene from a movie. You don't want to be sitting opposite someone telling you haven't seen what you've just seen, because it makes you think you're going to start seeing ones and zeros, and the matrix will melt away, and you think, whatever. It's very unsettling.
But that's their psychological. I mean, they've got Von Rumpe, Brown, all of them announcing world government run by the bankers that have engineered the financial collapse. We have their documents from over a decade ago planning this. And then they'll announce world government and then say, but we're not setting up a world government, and you're quite insane if you believe in one. I'm afraid it doesn't exist.
I know. Look, I'm sick of it. I'm sick of ringing up, reputable news agencies, and I'm not going to name any names, and speaking to, people who work on their foreign news desk, and you say, well, I'm here in Spain covering the Bilderberg conference, and they go, the what? And, I'm thinking, look, this is a big deal. It really is a big deal.
If you had 150, you've all heard it before, top football players meeting in secret, there'd be 50 helicopters above and 1,000 press. If you had 150 top Hollywood stars meeting in secret, and they've been doing it since '54, you'd have 1,000 helicopters and 5,000 press. But with this, it's just, you don't see those black sedans pulling in. You don't see the troops with machine guns. You don't see police dogs. Go ahead.
Well, I was going to say that, do you know what? I don't have a problem with a bunch of financiers and business people getting together to meet up to determine how to fleece, me and whoever, or to sell me whatever mobile phone or anything. I don't care. They can strategize to their heart's content. But we've got a new coalition in Britain, and what David Cameron who's an ex-Bilderberg, and Nick Clegg like to talk about at the moment is transparency and openness, and they want that in our politics. Let's find out whether that's the case, but they do keep saying we want transparency and we want openness.
Well, that's like Obama. He said he's going to be the most transparent. He's more secretive than Bush. It's always the opposite with these guys when they tell you something.
Yeah, well, and do you know what? It would be nice if, in the spirit of openness and transparency, we simply knew which elected officials went to this 4-day meeting and what they talked about in terms of policy.
Because they are setting policy in there, and it's against the law in the U.S., the Logan Act. Did you hear about Daniel Estulin testifying before the European Parliament?
I did, yes, extraordinary.
So what's your take on that?
That's a step in the right direction, It's being talked about. The word is being talked about about and normalized, and you just want people to go, when people talk about the Bilderberg conspiracy, it's not, as I keep saying, it's not a conspiracy, it's a meeting. It's a conference. It's a 4-day conference.
But see, they put what's the right term? That stereotype on it. They put it on you. You're like, hey, there's rich elite. They're robbing us with the banking system. They're meeting in there. We've gotten their minutes. And they just go, oh, you didn't take your medication. It's just a way to disregard what you're saying and always make the debate about whether it exists or not, instead of having a debate about should these private bankers be setting up a global police state to fully extract all our wealth from us.